All right, time for a daily quick cap here, where we recap one of our trades from the day. And today we're going to be looking at ticker symbol CHWY. This is Chewy, the dog food toy place, whatever. Um, Anyways, that's who this is, and it came up on the scanners the end of this day right here. And when it comes up, the first thing we always do is we look to see is the setup classifiable, meaning can we put it into one of our four categories at Armor Trading Systems that we use? And this one we can. This was a river to mountain setup, excuse me, meaning we are look. It's a bullish play, is what it is, and so we see it meets the initial criteria. But the most important thing is we've got to find is there support and resistance, or support or resistance. In this case, we're really looking for support, and we had some pretty good support here. The first thing I always do is look left for the immediate horizontal support. And you can see some pretty significant spots right here, and I would refer to these within Armor Trading Systems as significant minor support because of these pyramid formations right here. If we were to draw a line right in there, we see I don't need to convince you or go over how important that level is based off of those levels. But we see that's also where we're bouncing at. So we're good so far, looking really good at the moment. Now we'll zoom in. There's our signal right there. We needed the signal. And then what we can do is draw this trend line. So I guess I should, when I zoom, we can see that we're in an obvious uptrend. All right, we're obviously trending up ever since, what's that? For about the past a little over 2 months, we have been trending, or this stock has been trending up. So let's just kind of draw this in. You see how quick and simple that was? All I did was put a point at the low, and then I just wanted to see what would happen if I made the line pass through that next wave. I did right there at the bottom of it, and look at where we're bouncing at. So we are bouncing at where our price is kind of hovering at, where we've got some really good support. And you see, I mean, we are 2.5 minutes in to this trade review here, and I've already given you plenty enough reason to believe this trade is going to go up. And that's how fast you can become at technical analysis and at analyzing a trade once you are, applying the system, once you are begin using it, because everything else is going to happen where all you got to do, the scanners are going to put the stocks in front of your eyes. And all you got to do is look at each one and analyze it. Does it meet can it be classified in one of the four major setups that we use? And then is support or resistance present? Pretty simple. And that's what happened here. Pretty simple. Worked out great. Support the technical analysis side of this. This is the kind, it doesn't always happen this way, but this is the kind that you really dream of because it's so perfect as far as on the technical side. With the trend line, the horizontal support, bouncing at a fantastic spot right near that 50 SMA. Got plenty of room. The 200 is not in play at the moment, or is not an issue at the moment. Just a great trade. Or a great setup, excuse me. And yes, it did turn into a great trade, but all we needed to do was for this to trigger. We don't just enter it blindly. And by trigger, what I mean is we needed to see this particular one needed to break 39.38, which means up here, we needed to see, a little bit of a yawn there, 39.39. Remember, 39.38 was our trigger. What that means is I want to see that break. And when I see 39.39 print up here, I will know that the candle itself has broken through that price range, not just, the bid or the ask, but the actual candle itself, the printed price. So when that happens, all that is, pretty that is all gone over in the war room each and every morning. I go over this. I go over basically everything I've gone over so far. It's a little bit faster because I go over several where we go over the support and resistance, the reason why trading them or planning to trade them if given the opportunity. And then we go over the entries and the stops and setting your stops. All that's pretty simple. All you got to do is listen and follow along, really. If you're following along with us at armortrades.com in the war room. And then from there, you just got to decide, how do you want to exit? How would you choose to exit? Always go over 3 different exit strategies in these videos. Does not mean these are the only exit strategies you can use. There are plenty of them out there, plenty of ways you can exit. This is just basically to give you an idea, to give you kind of a basic idea of how you might want to exit these trades based on what your personality is and what you're comfortable with. So the first one we'll go over is exiting into previous support or resistance. In this case, we would be exiting into previous resistance. And we really want to focus on closer resistance rather than, looking way back here and set like this little area right here. Like you could look, if you look all the way left, this area right here, we see right through there. If I could draw a line right through there, that's a decent level, but it's not. I want it to be recent when I'm talking about exiting, because the more recent they are on the daily chart, typically, unless it is just a major area of resistance, the more recent it is, the more power it has, because more people kind of see it and it's more noticeable. So let me get back zoomed in pretty good here. All right. So we enter the trade right in there on this candle. The first area to exit to me would have been the low of this wick. And the reason, and actually that would have just about nailed it, I did not exit this way, full disclosure. So I'm not saying that I traded it perfectly. I did get, it worked out good in either way. But I just wanted to be clear that I'm not just cherry picking this spot right here. I did not trade it this way. So just wanted, full disclosure. Didn't happen for me. However, and I've said this in many of my other videos, is that I typically don't trade this way. It's not the exit strategy that I prefer, that fits my personality. But if you are that type of trader, this would have been about as good as it gets, because the low there is 40.93 and the high on the day was 41.05. So yeah, it barely got to that level by like, what's that, 12 cents or something like that. Barely got to it, but it would have been so beautiful, so amazing, and would have worked out really well. So past that, the reason why I say that is because it's this gap, and yes, I'm very aware that that is not the gap fill. However, look at how, blatantly obvious that point is on that lower wick. And if we look left from that point, you can see right through here that this area right around that 41 mark was a pretty important level, pretty important price range or price level. So that low of that wick was very important, and I did like that being the first exit. And even though it wasn't the full gap fill, the second area to exit to me would have been if we got the full gap fill. And at that point, I'll be honest, if price had gotten up to it, exit completely. Because from there, after a big volatile move all the way up to in there, there's no telling. It could have pushed through, or it might have just completely retraced and taken a breather after filling that gap. That's just a decision you'd have to make on how you would want to do that. So another way to exit. So first way is exiting into previous resistance or previous support, depending on if we're bearish or bullish. The other way is another way to exit is once we trigger, you enter the trade, you set your stop, and you let that sucker ride throughout the entire day, and you just close it before the end of the day. You can be moving your stop as the day goes on. As price is pushing up, you can move your stop. And yes, I know this looks like, because our entry was way up here, but you'll see why when we step into the 1 minute. It happened much later in the day, and so we'll take a look at it in just a second. But anyways, set your stop, enter the trade, set your stop, and then just close at the end of the day. sometimes it will allow you to catch some really big runners. And then sometimes, yeah, you'll turn a winner into a loser. But typically, what I've found is that those really big runners outweigh everything else. So that's a good way to exit, especially really passively where you don't have to worry about a ton. Uh, so let's look at scalping into the 1 minute. Now, what we're going to do is all of this is irrelevant because remember, our trigger was 39.38. And we can see it looks close, but look up here at the high of this candle, 39.38. And what did I say at the beginning? We needed to see 39.39 print. And that did not happen right here. So even from a scalping standpoint, you would not have been entered. You would, however, have been entered right there at 10.38. And from that point, it was smooth sailing. This is about as 100% stress-free as it gets. Because it was, when I say never in the red, I mean, this trade went from 10:30, what's that? 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. This trade went 5.5 hours and never, ever was in the red if you had held it all day. Or you could have scalped it. Because our entry was way down here, 39.39. Yeah, I mean, that one went all day long, and you would have been profitable the entire time. From a scalping standpoint, you would just have to decide, all right, do I want to take profit? Where do I want to take profit at, basically? Here, 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 here. However you do things as a scalper, however you want to take profit, just remember to always have a good solid stop set in place. That is what is important, is that you always know how much you're willing to lose if things go against you. So that about wraps it up for this video. Great trade, worked out good. Very stress-free trade, and that once we triggered, it was never a doubt. So, again, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and God bless.